Hey, what's going on everyone? Today is another Sunday, wrapped up the week with a nice Sunday long run and a bike afterwards. I'll put the Strava up for the run right here, and then I'll follow that up with the bike. Nothing too special, but today I thought I'd start a versus series, and today I thought the two shoes I should pit against each other are Saucony Endorphin Speed and the Atreyu base model. I believe this is the Voyager colorway. So, let's dive in. Alright, so to start things off, I'll just go over the general stats for both shoes. The Saucony Endorphin Speed comes in at about 7.9 ounces in men's size 9 and 7.5 ounces in women's size 8. It has a 39mm stack height in the heel and a 31mm stack height in the forefoot, and is complete with a full midsole of Power Run PB foam, which is really just a P-Bax foam, which is a special type of polymer. It's the same type of foam that is also in the Nike Next Percent. And it has a full nylon plate that goes within the foam. You can see my initial breakdown of the Saucony Endorphin Speed in my initial review. Link to that will be in the top right hand corner. Next we have the Atreyu, which is a bit different, but it is a lightweight shoe. It comes in at just 6 ounces in men's size 9. I could not find the weight for it in women's size 8. It has a 21.5mm stack height in the heel and a 15.5mm stack height in the forefoot. Plus, there's a 5mm sock liner inside of the shoe. It does get compressed a bit after you use it for some. There's a 6mm offset. You can actually see on the inside of the shoe, it tells you 6mm offset, neutral, and distance road running shoe. So, the reason I wanted to talk about these two shoes specifically is because these are specifically the two shoes I use when I want to run fast. If I'm doing really anything when I'm trying to go under 6-minute mile pace, I will put on one of these two shoes. And I think they each have their pros and cons, and ultimately I'm going to kind of see where they end up. First thing I want to discuss actually is these shoes at slower paces. Again, more so the Speed than the Atreyu is meant to be going at a quicker training pace. And I do have to say, if I wanted to go really slow and I had to pick between these two shoes, I would probably pick the Atreyu over the Speed. And I think that goes to the fact that is when I'm running in the Speed, I feel like it's pushing me forward. I feel like, I put the shoe on and it's like, all right, time to go quick. It's hard to slow things down in this shoe. Compare that to the Atreyu, and since it's so lightweight, it's so malleable, it's just this one piece of foam and this very simple upper. It can go pretty much any pace, I feel like. I can go slow, I can go fast, and it's just me controlling that. I don't feel like the shoe is trying to control me in a sense. Where with the Speed, the Speed wants to go fast, like I said, and so it is kind of pushing you along to go a little bit quicker. First things first is we'll talk about their midsoles. So you have the Saucony Endorphin Speed with that nice light P-Bax midsole, or Power Run PB foam. It's a really solid midsole. It's very popular in a lot of these elite carbon-plated shoes, like the Next Percent and the Saucony Endorphin Pro. And it's also in the Speed. Compared to the Atreyu, which actually just uses standard EVA foam, which you'll find in a lot of just general running shoes. And the other thing is this EVA foam is rubberized, so it's a very hard foam, and that's why there's actually no bottom on the Atreyu shoe. You can see it doesn't look pretty, but the shoe still has some time to go in it. But the shoe in general is a bit of a firmer, if I kind of push on it, it does give a little bit, but compared to the Endorphin Speed, if I push on this, it gives a bit more, feels softer. In terms of the feel of the shoe, the Atreyu shoe is much more of a ground contact feel. It's like it's just you, the road, and your thoughts when you're on a run with this. It's a very light shoe, only 6 ounces, and for me, I always feel like when I'm running in the shoe, it's like just me. I don't think about anything. It's very lightweight. I don't want to say reminiscent of barefoot running because that's like a whole thing, but the shoe is doing nothing fancy. It's very neutral, right? And it's not really. It's there to keep your feet safe from the road, and that's pretty much it. That's basically the whole point of the shoe. Compare that to the Endorphin Speed now. When I run in this shoe, there's less ground contact feel, and really I always feel like the shoe is kind of just pushing me forward, which is kind of that rocker speed geometry design that we see in a lot of shoes nowadays. Hoka kind of popularized it, and now we're seeing it more, especially in these racing or lightweight shoes. But whenever I run in the shoe, I kind of just, naturally just want to move fast. In terms of when I'm going at like a marathon or a threshold pace sort of speed, I think both shoes hold up relatively well. I will say the boost for the Endorphin Speed is that, and this is my take kind of on a lot of these higher stack height running shoes, it's just saving your legs. If I'm out there in the Atreyu shoe, it's just me, so all the energy that I'm putting out is just that. But compare that to the Endorphin Speed, and I feel like I can go, not that I could go further in this shoe, but once I'm 10 miles into a run compared to the Atreyu, my legs might feel a little bit more fresh since the foam is giving a bit more and the shoe's kind of pushing me. Not that it actually is pushing me, but it feels as if it's pushing me a bit along. Now the thing is though, once we start to pick things up past threshold pace, which for me is a little bit under 5-minute pace, once we start to get into that 440 range, 430, anything sub 430, I would honestly say I prefer the Atreyu shoe, and the main reason for that is simply the bulk and weight of the Speed. Again, this shoe comes in at almost 2 ounces, 1.9 ounces heavier in men's size 9 compared to the Atreyu shoe. And it's not just that, but the shoe, it's bigger when you look at the two shoes. In terms of the actual foot design, they're about the same, but you have so much foam here, and for me it just feels like I'm carrying more weight. I can feel the weight when I'm trying to go faster, and that kind of push that I'm getting when I'm in that marathon pace threshold range kind of goes away for me when I start picking things up a bit. I compare that to the Atreyu because since it's so lightweight and it is just you, there's nothing kind of, I would say, holding you back when you're running in the shoe at these faster paces. It's easier, if you're running really quick and you're thinking quick feet, it's a lot easier, I think, mentally and physically to just hit the ground and pop right back off with the shoe, boom, boom, compared to the Saucony Speed, where there's a bit more bulk in it, so you're pulling it along a bit more. When it comes down to the uppers, the Atreyu is a very simple upper. It's like a single piece. There's kind of a thick, soft tongue. Pretty standard. It's not the most comfortable of uppers, I would say, but it does the job. It has a solid lockdown. There is this little heel counter pull tab on it, but nothing to write home about. The Endorphin Speed, upper, very comfortable. It has that gusseted tongue, which I very much enjoy, and the heel counter is very sturdy. The next thing to talk about is the durability of these shoes. Right now I'm at about 70 to 80 miles in the Endorphin Speed. You can kind of see the bottom. It is holding up just fine. Not really that much creasing going on. The midsole is doing great. No issues. I'm thinking this shoe can go to at least 300 miles, and we will see that when we get there. I will try to make a video once I get to the end of the life of this shoe to kind of talk about that, because it's not something I think a lot of people talk about. When does the shoe end? You know, people always make predictions because it is hard to get a lot of shoes past the point where, you know, they are quote unquote dead. But I'm going to look into trying to get that done. The Atreyu, on the other hand, you know, this shoe was designed 250 miles. I've seen some people take it up to 300, 350, and I think that's probably the max of it. And, you know, that's what it's for. If you're subscribed, you're getting a new shoe every 2 months. So if you're running a decent number of miles, you know, that's what kind of would make sense. Last thing is the price point of these two shoes. So we have the Endorphin Speed, which comes in at about $160, pretty much anywhere you look. No discounts or anything. Then you have the Atreyu, which is a newer company, and it has sort of a, I don't want to say gimmick, but a special offer, where if you subscribe to Atreyu Running, every 2 months you're going to get a new pair of shoes, and it's $55 for the shoe, plus shipping and handling. It ends up being like $63. You can do a one-time purchase of, I believe, $95. But aside from that, it's a very cheap shoe in terms of price, but it can do pretty much anything most general trainers or running shoes can do. So ultimately, if it came down to just these two shoes, what would I pick? I think it depends. It ultimately depends on the kind of mileage I'm running. In terms of the mileage I'm running right now, I'm doing 80, 90, and almost 100-mile weeks. And I think the best option for me would be to go with the Speed in that scenario, because I think it would last longer than the Atreyu would. If this shoe can get up to 500 miles before it's quote-unquote dead, it's going to last me, you know, a month and a half, 2 months, compared to the Atreyu, which would probably last me just about a month. Now, if I'm dialing it back in terms of mileage to, let's say, 70 to 60 miles a week, I think I would actually go with the Atreyu. And the reason for that is just the versatility of the shoe. It has such a wide range of paces it can handle, from slow to fast. I think it just works very well compared to the Speed, where on the very ends of the spectrum, it feels like you're kind of fighting with the shoe. With that being said, I am a neutral forefoot striking runner. I don't have any support issues, but for someone who might have some support issues, I would steer away from the Atreyu just because it is so minimalistic. There's no support really built into the shoe. The Endorphin Speed has more support than the Atreyu. Not saying that it's a very supportive shoe, but if you had to pick between the two, this would definitely be the go-to. Ultimately, I do think both of these could be used as a racing shoe if you wanted to. If you wanted to save the money instead of getting a $200, $250 racing shoe, you could go either of these ways. But ultimately, I don't think you can go wrong picking either of these shoes, and you just have to think about what you want out of your shoe. Do you want it to last? Do you want it to feel like it's just you on the road? How quick and slow are you running? You know, and how much support do you need? These are kind of questions you should be asking, and when looking into if you're trying to decide on these shoes. But that's all for now. Let me know your thoughts down below in the comments, and make sure you leave a thumbs up and subscribe, and I'll see you all next time. Thanks.